Welcome to Miles Ahead, the Canadian Points podcast brought to you by FrugalFlyer.ca, where we talk about all things miles and points, a hobby that allows us to travel all over the world in style and on a budget. Today, we're coming to you live in a recording from Las Vegas at the annual Frugal Flyer team retreat. We're excited to record our first episode together in the same room rather than a Google Meet meeting. In this episode, we will open our wallets and inform you exactly which cards we carry and what we use them for. As a reminder, you can always find our timestamps in the show notes if you want to jump around to different sections or come back and listen to something again. Additionally, if you're enjoying what you hear, please leave us a review and rating on your favorite podcast platform. We read all of the feedback, and the reviews in particular help us tremendously. For our inaugural live recording episode, we've got the whole team here with Reed, Jeff, Josh, Kirin, Quentin, and then, of course, myself, Danny. We are going to kick off this inaugural live recording with a very fun game of Guess That Card. Listeners should be familiar with this segment by now, but if you're new here, I've pre-selected a rewards credit card that will provide hints to help everyone get on the right track to identify it. Everyone, Josh, Reed, Quentin, Jeff, and Kirin will use those hints to guess Family Feud style as quickly as possible until the card is recognized. Each presenter will get one attempt to guess that card after each set of hints is revealed, so they must use those guesses wisely. The presenter with the correct answer will hold eternal bragging rights over their colleagues, be the champion of the first live in-person Guess That Card game, and join me for a short chat to discuss why we at Frugal Flyer may or may not recommend that card. Is everybody ready to get guessing?
Yes. Let's do it.
All right. So for my first set of hints, I've got two hints to put you on the right track. This card grants an annual free night certificate, and this card is not available for new applications, but it is still available via product switching.
Buzz in. Can I buzz in? It's the Chase Ritz-Carlton card.
That is an excellent guess, but that is not what we're looking for, Quentin.
I have a guess.
All right, Jeff, go ahead.
The personal American Express US Marriott card.
So you're talking about the American Express Marriott Bonvoy card, which is a downgrade option from the Bonvoy Brilliant.
That's the one I'm talking about.
And you would be talking about the correct card.
My man.
Congratulations, Jeff. That is 2 Guess That Card episode in a row. All right, Jeff. So what was it? What was the hint that really set you off the edge where you thought that that would be the card that I had selected?
The hint where you said it was no longer available for applications.
Right.
You can only obtain it via product switch.
And Quentin's guess of the Ritz-Carlton card, did that cross your mind?
That was actually going to be my first guess.
Yeah.
Quentin, the sacrificial lamb.
So I just was a human meat shield to you, eh, Jeff?
I would like to note for all listeners at home that both of those would actually have been technically correct. So you only had one in mind for the Guess That Card, but based upon those parameters, both would actually be technically correct.
That is absolutely correct. So the Chase card does qualify for all of that. For reference, if nobody got it on that first round, which would have been shocking, the second set of hints is that the card art features a cityscape and it's issued by American Express USA. So actually, call back for Kirin, that is one of the Marriott Bonvoy cards that has pink on it.
It is.
Isn't the objective to guess the card Danny's thinking of? So there's
Yes.
it's only correct if you guess the card in his mind.
That's right. That's right. You have to read my mind through the hints that I provide.
Kieran's just standing up for me, so I'll take it.
But Jeff, what do we like about this card? Do you hold this card personally?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you like it at all?
So the reason why I think it still has value is for most of us that hold the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant, most of us have it for the platinum status and whatnot. But I think the card we're talking about, the personal American Express Bonvoy card, is good once maybe you reach lifetime titanium.
Right.
And then it's probably a good option to downgrade to, because I think the Bonvoy Brilliant loses a lot of value once you have lifetime titanium.
Yeah.
So that's probably the situation I would try to go for.
Just a question, do you mean lifetime platinum?
What did I say?
Titanium. But that's okay, Jeff. Yeah. We know what you mean. Lifetime platinum. So lifetime platinum is 600 nights with Marriott Bonvoy and 10 years as a Platinum Elite member or higher. So I'm only about 4 years, but I know that there's plenty of people on the show today that are close to that lifetime Platinum, at which point the Bonvoy Brilliant, there's not much reason to have it unless you really like 85K free night certificates.
We do have an article on the site actually written by Kirin about how to get the secret Marriott Bonvoy cards. And so because you won't find them on our card browser, you won't really find them on those issuer websites because they're not able to be newly applied for. So knowing that this is a valid kind of product switch option and something that you can downgrade to and still benefit from the free night that comes with it and the 15 elite qualifying nights, it's a great opportunity to kind of extend that membership if you don't want to pay the high annual fee that the Bonvoy Brilliant card comes with year after year. So check that article out. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yes. And the last note that I have to add about that is the personal American Express Marriott Bonvoy card, very long, but total name of it still stacks with the business Bonvoy card. So if you are still working towards Platinum Elite status every year, you can use those two cards combined to have 30 elite nights to start your membership year every year. Anybody else have anything to add? No? Good. Perfect. All right. We will pick up with, well, congratulations, Jeff, on successfully guessing that card. Enjoy your eternal bragging rights while we move on to learning to get miles ahead. What's in our wallet? So as the probably not self-proclaimed experts, but industry insiders, for lack of a better term, we often get asked at meetups, well, what do we use to fund all of our points adventures? Because we're able to write so many amazing reviews about flights and hotels, and a lot of people see those same vacations and want to emulate it. And today we are going to answer that question. We are going to open up our wallets and we are going to tell all of the listeners exactly what we use on a daily basis and what's in our wallet. What are we spending on? What do we have but keep in the soft drawer at home? So with our full credit card portfolios on the table, we are going to start off with longtime contributor Jeff, go through what he uses on an everyday perspective. And then we are going to do a second section, which is going to be what cards we keep, but we don't carry with us. So Jeff, what do you carry around every day?
So I think I'm going to speak for all of us here when I'm going to mention the American Express Cobalt card. I think it's the best credit card available in Canada. For most people, if you shop regularly at places that will accept American Express, which is most places nowadays. There's actually not that many places that don't anymore. The 5x earning rate on groceries is massive for earning points, especially on groceries, just because groceries for most people is going to be where you spend most of your money.
Yeah. And there's also gift cards.
Yeah, like I use it all the time for gas cards, just buying, $50, $60 every time I go to the grocery store. Good way to earn points on your fill-ups. Yeah, so that's why I really like the card, but I think maybe some of you guys have something to add about the card as well.
So I have this card as well. It's probably my strongest points earning card in Canada. If you maximize the monthly cap of $2,500 of spend, you're earning 12,500 membership rewards per month, which is 150,000 membership rewards per year, which is fantastic. So
It's also my credit card that I use for streaming services. So Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all of those. It earns 3 points per dollar in Canada, which I think is one of the leading numbers that we have for that category.
Yeah, and another card that I hold, but I don't really put a lot of money on it every month. It's mainly just to take advantage of the monthly dining credit is the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card, which is a US issued card. This card gives back $25 a month in dining up to, which works out to $300 a year, US dollars a year in monthly dining credits. So I generally just try to put, $30 Canadian on it every month. Wife and I go out for dinner, and that's really the only use I have for that card outside of staying at Marriott hotels. Yeah, so that's why I have the card, but I don't know, maybe I know other people here have that card, so I don't know, does anyone else have any thoughts on the card?
Yeah, I carry it myself, and I start the year with 40 elite nights, like we talked about in our shortcuts to Marriott Bonvoy Elite status. If you want to go back and listen to that episode, you can hear about it a little bit more. The one caution I have for the Bonvoy Brilliant is if you have the Canadian Marriott Bonvoy card, you'll actually earn more Marriott Bonvoy points because the conversion rate, if you're spending Canadian if you're spending US dollars at a Canadian property, you'll end up getting like 4.5 points per dollar on your US versus if you just use your Canadian Marriott Bonvoy card at a Canadian Marriott Bonvoy hotel, you'll get about 5 points per dollar. So that's the only word of caution I have for it, but I love this. I have it too.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. As somebody who is not organically going to reach platinum this year, complimentary platinum status and breakfast and benefits that comes with it, fantastic. It also gives you an 85K free night, every year, which great value.
And then you've got one final piece of your wallet. You don't only have American Express.
No. For the places that don't take American Express, I usually just have any Visa or MasterCard, usually one of each. The two most common ones I use are the Air France KLM Flying Blue card, which is a good card to earn Flying Blue points. Flying Blue is a really valuable program in Canada, especially since we don't have access to a ton of programs. And the other one is an RBC Aviant card, which I use to transfer to British Airways, American Airlines. Just a good overall card to have. And yeah, so that's kind of a rundown of what's in my wallet. Josh, what do you hold in your wallet?
So kind of what's top of mind for me is I always tend to have a card that I'm working on a welcome bonus on. I don't focus a ton on category spend typically. I usually have a card that I'm working towards doing the spend or the bonus. So that's my number one choice in my wallet. So it's not really a specific card, but a category of card. Similar to Jeff and other people on the team, I also have that Bonvoy Brilliant for the restaurant credit. I also have the Scotiabank Gold American Express card as it has a high earning rate and it's a great card for shopping for groceries. So if you're shopping at Empire branded grocery stores, so that can be things such as Safeway, Sobeys, and anything else under that banner. It earns 6 times Scene points at those stores, 5 times at other grocery stores. And Scene Plus points are great for redeeming against travel as they redeem at 1 cent per point. And you can actually redeem them against travel you booked on your own. You don't have to book through a portal or any of that nonsense. So super flexible.
And a good candidate for the refundable hotel trip.
It is a good candidate for the refundable hotel trip.
And for PayPower.
And for PayPower.
And
yes.
PayPower.
One thing also I want to mention about the Scotiabank Gold American Express is there's no foreign transaction fees.
Yes, true.
And I had a question for everyone. With this card, with the earn rate of 5x, does it earn on foreign purchases? Do we know?
So when it comes to foreign category spend on the Scotiabank American Express Gold Card, it does not code on foreign purchases of multipliers. To do that, you are going to need their Visa version, which is the Scotiabank Passport Visa Infinite card. That does code. Of course, it caps out at 2x, so how much that's going to help you is really a different question, but it does code on foreign transactions. Otherwise, on the Amex, you are stuck at 1x on all foreign transactions per Canadian dollar, though, so that will scale.
Yeah. So yeah, my wallet kind of rotates surrounding what card I'm working on. That's the biggest summation for me. So Reed, what's in your wallet?
Yeah, I have a lot of cards already mentioned, like the Scotiabank Gold Amex and the Amex Cobalt, which, as we mentioned, are both cards I like to use PayPower for to make sure I hit all the caps. I also have a card which probably no one else has, which is the Tangerine World MasterCard. I don't really have a great reason for having this other than I've just banked with Tangerine for a long time. It's kind of an entrenched bank for me. But the card is decent just to kind of handle miscellaneous transactions that I'm not putting on other cards. And it has the unique feature where you can essentially choose 3 categories and you earn 2% cash back on those categories. So it's good to kind of pick up, other spend that you might not be able to get a good earn rate with each month. Yeah, other than that, really just tend to have a card in my wallet that I'm working on a min spend on pretty much all the time. Currently, that's the American Express US Business Gold Card. So looking forward to me and that spend and getting that bonus. So Quentin, what's in your wallet?
I also have the American Express Cobalt card for groceries, as well as the Scotiabank Amex Gold card. In addition to that, from Scotiabank, I also have their Passport Visa Infinite, which Kirin just mentioned. This is a really great card for people who are wanting an introductory experience to lounges at airports. They include 6 lounge passes per year, which is great. It's a great card that we recommend to a lot of beginners. So a card that I have, I don't think anyone else at the table has yet, it's a relatively new player in the Canadian credit card game, is the BMO Porter World Elite MasterCard, which I'm working on the sign-up bonus for, as well as it's going to be my new Costco card because it is a MasterCard. What really excites me about this card is because I fly Porter quite a bit to go see family in Sault Ste. Marie, as well as in Eastern Canada. Porter is a great servicer. There's a lot more routes coming. I just recently moved to Hamilton, in which they're flying direct flights out of the Hamilton airport, which is great. Benefits that come with this card is VI Porter Venture status, which gets you a free Porter Classic seat selection, as well as a free check bag and a free carry-on bag, which Porter, if you book a bare bones Porter flight, they do charge for each one of those. I think this is a great card. It gives you elite status, gives you great benefits, and it extends to up to 8 companions on a travel itinerary, and as well as authorized users also get to enjoy VI Porter Venture status, which is a great benefit. Anyone have any other thoughts on this new player in the credit card game?
No, I mean, you kind of covered most of it, Quentin, but that's a great breakdown. I agree with you that Porter is becoming a more player in the forefront of commercial aviation. And I would say that they are one of the most consistent economy experiences, particularly if you're flying on their Embraer aircraft. I would try and avoid their Dash 8 planes if you can. They're a little bit uncomfortable, but I am probably going to get this card. I'm not sure if I'm going to spend a lot on it, but just the benefits alone of having instant status is super valuable. And then you can add an authorized user and they get the status as well.
Yeah, it's great. I think this is going to be quite a game changer for a lot of people and going to turn a lot of people more onto seeing Porter as a valuable airline carrier in Canada. And Kirin, how about you? What's in your wallet?
Thank you, Quentin. So I'd just like to note something here before I go into this, which is that contrary to the rumors that have been circulating, Quentin and I, despite our galaxy brain IQ and extremely boyish good looks, are not actually related, at least not that I'm aware of. So we do not come from the same mother, even if we do share the same superior stock. So I just want to put that out there. And of course, the card that is in my wallet is the card that I'm surprised nobody else has mentioned. I love the sound that its anodized premium aluminum makes when I slap it on the bar countertop. And that is, of course, the American Express Platinum card. The reason that this card is so great is the fact that it will get you free lounge access pretty much every time that you have it. Despite the fact that it comes with a $7.99 annual fee, it also does have a $200 restaurant credit, which you can use at a short list of extremely expensive restaurants that only happen to coincide with major metropolitan areas. So you can use that to impress people or your first date or whatnot and get great value out of it, as well as the $200 travel credit, which you can both use for travel purposes. And then there's also ways to basically cash it out if you're sick of it. So I just think that the card is fantastic. It has a bunch of premium features that you need it for. The earn rates aren't the best. The last reason I'll use it, and I think this is an important thing to remember, is that American Express is a pro-customer company, and they understand that if you're paying them $800 a year, that clearly you are the type of customer that they need to be supporting even more. So when I buy stuff that I might have to insure better or have chargebacks on, then I am going to use my Platinum card. One of the places I do this the most is parking. I don't know what it is with Canada, but there are so many parking scams where a meter will say this is going to cost like $10. It winds up costing 12, 13, 14, 15. When that happens, I say, screw you. I'm going to American Express. I'm getting my money back because that is not cool. For my uncategorized spend, I'm much like Jeff. So I have the Brim Flying Blue just to get one Air France KLM Flying Blue mile per uncategorized category. That's just nice because that's hard to get. And then the last card that I'm usually carrying with myself for all of my USD or foreign transaction purchases is the Chase Aeroplan MasterCard. I really like that card, not just because it's 3x on dining and groceries, even in Canada. Of course, that's per USD spent. With the exchange rate, that winds up being more closer to 2 per Canadian dollar spent or thereabouts. It's that this card is fantastic because it will allow you to cash out your Aeroplan miles for 1.25 cents American up to 200,000 Aeroplan points per year only on the travel category. Now, that becomes very helpful for things like travel in places like Europe, South America, that I like to go to a lot because there's often flights there that are available as Aeroplan flights. But if you get them as an Aeroplan flight, it might be 10,000, 15,000 points for economy, plus $39 partner booking fee, plus local taxes and fees. But if you do it for $100 Canadian, that actually winds up being $70 or $75 American at 1.25 cents. That winds up being only 7,000 Aeroplan points. Fantastic deal. Totally worth it to me. And so I guess now is the time that I'll hand it back to our gracious and extremely handsome host, Danny, to carry on.
A face for radio is what I've been told. A voice for radio, at least. So I'll go with that. But thank you very much, Kirin, for that wonderful introduction. So I am based in the USA. So my cards that I carry with me, of course, are heavily US issued cards because unfortunately in Canada, we have a total of 3 or maybe 4 cards now that waive foreign transactions. And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of the cards that waive foreign transaction fees only cap out at 1x for all earn rates. So spending 90% of my expenses in US dollars, I've got a heavy US portfolio. So as mentioned, Bonvoy Brilliant, that's in my wallet, use up that dining credit. One card that hasn't come up yet, which I use a ton, is the United States American Express Gold card. This is kind of like the Cobalt card in Canada, except it's actually cheaper. It's kind of funny the way that it works out with all the credits and the couponization credit cards these days, but it gets 4 times on groceries and 4 times on dining out. And then an underutilized feature is if you don't have the Platinum card, this card earns 3 times on airfare. So I actually think it's an excellent card. If you're just getting into the US game, it's an easy one to start with. It's not a credit card. It is a charge card, so it won't be as good for building credit, but it is an excellent card for a workhorse and to earn lots and lots of membership rewards. I also have a premium Aeroplan card. So we've got a whole article on the benefits there, but earning 1.25 points per dollar you spend is quite nice for my general spending for anything that I need in Canadian dollars. And then finally, I have a Chase Sapphire Preferred, which I don't think anybody brought up. Did anybody else bring up the CSP yet?
It's more of a sock drawer card for me, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, we will have that other section of sock drawer cards. Personally, being in the US 3 times on dining where Amex isn't accepted is really huge. I use it for a lot of that. And then also just for general spending. I probably would be doing better if I use the Chase Freedom Unlimited, but not quite enough Chase cards in the family yet to have a Freedom Unlimited, a Freedom Flex, and that Sapphire Preferred. If you're unfamiliar with the Chase ecosystem, you have to have one premium product to transfer your points over to travel partners, which of course is the whole reason why we collect those points in the first place. And then just like everybody else, a huge trend that we've seen, everybody carries a card that they're working on a sign-up bonus for. And I am also part of that crew. That is the biggest and easiest way to earn points. If you're going to take one piece of information away from this section, it's that all of us are usually constantly working on a brand new sign-up bonus. Sign-up bonuses can sometimes be 75,000 points for $5,000 of spend. So I'm not a mathematician, but that works out to well over 10 miles per dollar that you're spending. So it is an excellent way to get tons and tons of miles in a very short period of time. So that'll wrap up our what do we carry with us every day section of what's in our wallet. And then we probably should have called this something else because these cards are not in our wallets, but we do keep them even though we don't spend money on them. So we're going to go around in the same order. Jeff, which cards do you keep, but you don't carry with you? Maybe let's call it a sock drawer card.
Yeah.
That's all it does.
So I won't really list every single card I have because there's a lot, but I will just group them all into one category and I'll just call them co-branded hotel cards. These are cards that I just use specifically for the free annual night. And you'll find these free annual nights on Marriott cards, Hyatt cards, and Hilton cards. On most of these cards, you're looking at between a $95 and $120 annual fee, and you'll usually get a free night award that is worth hopefully a lot more than that, quite often double that. Other than that, I don't put any money on these cards. As we said, they simply just sit in a drawer, collect dust, and you just take advantage of that free night award every year. Those are kind of the cards that I hold. Other than that, I don't really have any other cards that I really never use. I don't know. Does anyone else? I'm sure a lot of us have these cards, co-branded cards. What does everyone else think?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I only hold Hilton co-branded cards, unlike everyone else at the table. I feel a little bit left out, actually. So I think I might have just been talked into getting a Bonvoy Brilliant at the end of the show. But yeah, it's like Jeff, I hold the Hilton Aspire card, which gives you automatic top tier Diamond Elite status, which is not so great in North America. But once you kind of get out of North America, you get to Europe or Asia, it's great to have Diamond status for upgrades, free breakfast, or dining credits and all that. I also hold the Surpass card for the $50 quarterly Hilton credits, which come in handy. Both of these cards essentially pay for themselves at the end of the day. So I keep them around to liquidate the credits and take advantage of the benefits and free nights, just like Jeff said.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll notice with this list as we go around. There's a lot of co-branded cards that are sitting in sock drawers, and not to diminish them because they're fantastic cards. They're just not ones you spend on. So similarly, I'm big on Bonvoy. I'm big on Hilton for all the reasons I've already stated. Free nights, elite qualifying nights for Marriott status, even to the point where I may have one and my P2 may have the same card just to double up on the free nights and share status and whatnot. I'm also a big fan, kind of the US version of Kirin's Platinum card. I have multiple business Platinum cards in the United States for myself and my player too. And while we don't spend on these cards past earning the welcome bonus, the lounge access that they come with is really unmatched. Wherever you're traveling, you're always going to have a lounge that is part of the American Express Global Lounge collection. We have an article on that. We'll include it in the show notes for people to read up on and see, kind of how that's the best way to access it's got to be over 1,400, 1,500-ish lounges at this point. The other card that I like that I don't spend on anymore is I always try to keep a co-branded Aeroplan card. And so the reason being is typically when you're booking award flights, if you're only charging the taxes and fees portion of a ticket to certain credit cards, you're not actually covered under the insurance coverage. You have to charge the full cost of the ticket. It's not the case with the Aeroplan co-branded cards. If you charge the taxes and fees on an Aeroplan booking to an Aeroplan co-branded card, whether that's issued from American Express, CIBC, or TD, you actually do receive the trip or travel insurance that comes with it on that card. So if you travel on Aeroplan a lot, it's a great card to be doing those bookings on, just in case if something goes wrong.
Those are excellent points, Josh. And one thing that I want to add to your business Platinum being a sock drawer, I think people that aren't entrenched in the hobby often look at the American Express Platinum card and say, well, it's the most expensive, it's the most well-known. That must be the best card that you need to spend money on. But it's really quite bad in Canada and in the US, everyday spending. So it's great for the benefits.
The benefits, yeah, exactly.
Don't do any spending on that. Yeah. Reed, what do you have for a keeper card that you don't use every day?
Yeah, so I would echo kind of what everyone's been mentioning so far about always having the Hilton. I always have in my wallet a few different Hilton cards, as well as I hold the Marriott Bonvoy Business and Chase Bonvoy Boundless card for the benefits mentioned, the 30 EQNs per year and free nights. So 2 cards I hold, and they are a little bit more unique, are the Triangle World Elite MasterCard and the National Bank World Elite MasterCard. And the Triangle World Elite MasterCard comes with 3 key features that make it a very unique card in Canada. So it comes with a complimentary oil change at Canadian Tire every year, or $40 towards complimentary oil change. It also comes with Canadian Tire roadside assistance. So that's something that you might think isn't great, but I've actually used it, and it's, I would say, on par with AMA or better. It's been really, really useful to have. And then the card also has a feature where you can essentially use it to pay off bills that you normally wouldn't be able to use a credit card for. So things like property taxes.
I actually use it to pay my medical school tuition, which is if you get 1% back on $26,000, that's quite a bit of money you're getting cash back for.
Does anyone else hold the Triangle World Elite MasterCard?
Yeah, thank you very much, Reed, because I know that the wonderful Danny Burkett, who is our host, has been working with Porsche for many years. And I'm actually something of an automotive enthusiast myself, being the owner of a 2006 Acura CSX with small patches of surface rust. Now, of course, maintaining such an unfettered stallion of the roadways can be quite difficult in Edmonton, where it gets to being negative 40 degrees Celsius. And when I need to make sure that this sick 2-liter vehicle with its drifting abilities is in prime condition, despite the fact that the battery has been nuked by the extreme inclement weather, I'm able to rely on calling the service, because Canadian Tire uses subcontractors who usually show up a lot faster than organizations that we have in Alberta, especially in the extreme cold. So I'm very satisfied with the service that they've been giving me, including the 5 service calls with no charge per year.
Yes, that's an excellent point, Kirin. I've actually used the roadside assistance as well. The roadside assistance for me showed up and it was a CAA truck. So even though it's a Canadian Tire branded service, it's just a Canadian Tire call center and they contract it out to whichever tow truck is nearest by. Now, just because the tow into the Canadian Tire is free doesn't mean that your service is free. So in my case, the car got towed and I had a hole in my tire. So they patched the hole for $30 and I went on my way. I was able to use some Canadian Tire money on my Canadian Tire World Elite card to reduce that cost, but it's an excellent card. Even if you put no spend on it, a wonderful card to have. And that roadside assistance that's included with it is fantastic. Reed, do you have any other cards you want to mention?
Yeah, so the other one I mentioned was the National Bank World Elite. So as Josh alluded to, a lot of cards, if you make an award booking and you pay, just a small amount of taxes and fees to make the booking, most cards have travel insurance, but they'll stipulate that you have to charge the full amount of the flight to the card. So the National Bank World Elite card is one of a select few cards where you're covered for travel insurance, even if you only charge a small portion of a booking to the card. So I always kind of have that if I'm making my points booking and I'm paying $100 taxes and fees, I just throw it on that card. Just in case anything goes wrong, I make sure I'm covered for travel insurance. So yeah, that's kind of about it for my cards that I keep in my sock drawer. Quentin, what do you keep in your sock drawer?
Socks.
That's awesome.
So other than socks, I hold a bunch of Chase cards that earn cashback or ultimate rewards. The prime of which would be the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which I'll transfer out to partners such as Hyatt or Aeroplan or other travel partners, which have been very valuable. I also hold the Triangle World Elite for my fellow students out there paying tuition. You could pay your tuition using this card, which earns 1% back. If you want other cards that are great for students, our contributor Andy has written a great article about credit cards for students. So again, fellow students out there, highly recommend you check that out. And other than that, I have the Venture X, which I mentioned for 2x on foreign spend, but really it lives in my sock drawer most of the year because of the lounge access that this card provides. So it has unlimited lounge access through the Priority Pass program for yourself and your authorized users, as well as access to these amazing Capital One lounges that have been popping up throughout the United States. But yeah, that's all I have other than socks. How about you, Kirin?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much the same as everybody else on this list. Quentin, they all hold multiple co-branded credit cards for the benefits. I do much the same thing. Now, as a big supporter of hockey in Canada, I, of course, have decided that the holder of the NHL streaming rights and broadcasting rights, Rogers, doesn't have nearly enough of my money. So I also hold the Rogers Red MasterCard, not just because I want the Edmonton Oilers to continue hitting the ice and telling me about all of the great benefits that Rogers Home Internet can bring to enhancing my life, but also because of the fact that their credit card, the Rogers Red MasterCard, earns 2% on cashback on all goods that I purchase, so long as I'm a customer tied at the hip with my cell phone plan to that incredible company. Now, in their defense, they also do a great job of awarding me 3% cashback every time I redeem my rewards on services that they provide. So I have a cell phone plan with them. I get 3% redemption with a floor of $10 every time I do that. So all my recurring bills are on this. I just find that that's a way to enhance my life. Of course, I've talked about the Triangle World Elite. And then the last sock drawer card I'd like to mention is that I have the now discontinued American Express Edge card. Firstly, because it earns 3x on purchases of IT goods and services, but also because credit cards are very similar to Pokemon and you got to catch them all, especially the rare ones.
Yes, those are all excellent points, Kirin. And as we're all credit card nerds here, I'm not the only credit card nerd, but as one of the credit card nerds, I did not pick up that business edge card in time. And I'm jealous that I don't have it in my collection. Quite literally, collecting the odd and unique or the secret cards that we mentioned at the beginning of the show is something that I think we all get joy in. So Kirin has a little bit more joy in his life than me, as I do not have that American Express business edge. Now, for my sock drawer, I not only have socks here, I also have plenty of hotel room keys that I'm keeping for a collection of arts that I'm going to do at some point in time. But something that hasn't come up yet, surprisingly, I hold the United States American Express Platinum card on top of the gold card because this card awards 5 times on flight bookings directly with the airline. So this is far and away the best multiplier you'll get on flights. I travel around a lot for work, and I'm lucky enough that I get to book some of my own travel occasionally. And getting 5 times on $10,000 worth of flights that I ended up ultimately purchasing is 50,000 membership rewards points every year that I get just for holding this card. So regardless of all the other credits that I can make use of, which are extensive, we'll link to all in the show notes to all the credits that exist, I get about $1,000 back in value from that 5x flights. Of course, I've got lots of different Bonvoy cards that I get to keep for the annual freelance certificate. And then I also have a whole bunch, a pile of no annual fee cards with CIBC and BMO and TD. I don't spend on these cards at all. I do a little bit of product switching with TD. We have quite an excellent article about how to product switch with TD. As a personal anecdote, you want to stay away from switching to Aeroplan cards now. I had 10,000 points reduced or redacted from my Aeroplan account because I was doing too much Aeroplan switching last year. So I've now completely removed myself from TD Aeroplan switching entirely. But these no annual fee cards with the other banks, I just have them to preserve my credit history. I mean, I've had them forever. I don't feel like paying an annual fee on them. They've got super high credit limits. And if a bank ever says that they want to approve me, I'll just reduce the credit lines on them. But you should ideally keep credit cards open as long as you can if there is a no annual fee version of that card you can downgrade to. And then finally, our favorite card we recommend to every single Canadian, the American Express Global Card. When I am in Canada, I still find it useful to have that card for 5x on dining. And I might make the occasional trip to a Sobeys or Empire grocery store for some pay power here and there. And that'll wrap up Learning to Get Miles Ahead. And the majority of the episode, as that was a long section, what's in our wallet. Hopefully, you learned something about what we do to gain as many points as we can, and which cards we find value in keeping over the long term. This will take us to our final section, which is the question of the month. Now, this question of the month was submitted by a reader from Montreal. And Yves says, I want to travel from Montreal to Tokyo in a way that minimizes my fatigue and maximizes my comfort. At 73, the skeletal seats of basic economy for 14 hours are real torture, and I'm not looking forward to that. What are your recommendations if I don't want to leave my retirement savings in Tokyo or give them to an airline? What do we have for Yves? Jeff, looks like you got something.
Yeah, so I was just doing a little bit of research prior to recording the show here. And since you're based in Montreal, I actually saw a lot of availability on Swiss airlines traveling the long way around. So what I mean is you're going east instead of west, which is probably going to extend your trip, your travel time by maybe 10 hours, up to 10 hours. But there's decent availability from Montreal to Zurich and then Zurich onto Tokyo. So that's probably what I would look to do if you're going to want to use Aeroplan points. You could even break up the trip by booking a stopover for additional 5,000 points in Zurich if you want. And I know some other guys that have been to Japan before, maybe have a few more thoughts on some of the ways to get there from Montreal.
Yeah, kind of my go-to, and I'm a bit biased being located in Alberta, but typically if you can get to the West Coast, you have so many options for easier flights. So whether you're in Vancouver, San Francisco, LA, Seattle, you have options such as booking Japan Airlines through British Airways Avios. If you have Alaska miles from the previous now defunct MBNA cards, or can earn them through USMR, there's many other great options that you can book as well. Of note as well, depending if you're flying solo or with somebody else or with family, it's going to be very different. If you're just looking for one seat, shouldn't be an issue, but the more people you add, adds a bit more complexity. But that would be my approach, would be get over to the West Coast, or plan to get to the West Coast, and take a 9-hour flight from there direct into Tokyo.
You could also fly from Boston to Tokyo on Japan Airlines, so that'd be a quick connecting flight. But Kirin, you also had something to say?
Yeah, thanks, Reed. Et bien merci, Yves, juste parce que vous nous avez donné votre question en français, donc je vais essayer de répondre en français aussi. Donc, merci pour la question. Mais pour moi, j'imagine que si vous pouvez gagner les points Aeroplan sur votre carte de crédit, ça sera mieux si vous essayez d'utiliser la classe économie premium. Parce que le prix des billets entre Montréal et Toronto au Tokyo est probablement environ, j'imagine, ça dépend les dates sur le calendrier, mais entre 70 et 90 000 points par billet, donc par direction. Donc, ceci n'est pas impossible à faire, juste pour la simplicité et votre santé et sanité. Donc, j'espère que je peux vous aider avec cette réponse et merci pour votre question une autre fois.
Oui.
I heard premium economy. I didn't get much else.
So I was just saying for folks trying to get to Japan on Aeroplan, one of the best ways to try and do that these days is on premium economy, because premium economy can cost between 70 and 90,000 Aeroplan points per direction. And don't get me wrong, this isn't as great as business class, but business class is significantly more expensive. This is a good way. I'm just saying, I despise being in basic economy for more than 5-6 hours, and I'm 32. I can't imagine being 40 years older than that and having to do it. So I think that premium economy is a fantastic compromise between the two. And again, thank you to Eve for your question.
Yes, I do want to touch on this as well, on the feedback that everybody else gave. Because you're 73, Eves, I doubt you're in a hurry to get there. I think you can probably take the extra 10 hours to go through Zurich on Swiss. The other thing to mention here, because you're specifically based in Montreal, there's rumors that the brand new Swiss seating arrangement, Swiss Senses, is going to be released on that route. So it's the equivalent to Lufthansa Allegra seats, which Jeff did an excellent review on. You will be so comfortable in that seat. And then Swiss very often, especially for reward tickets, will allow you to buy up to first class. So you could spend Swiss first class from Zurich on to Haneda or Narita for about $1,000 US, which is about the cost of a round trip if you're just paying cash. So I would highly recommend that you do that Swiss route if you're trying to get from Montreal into Japan. You can fly in some serious comfort. And that'll about do it for this first live episode of Miles Ahead. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any questions about the episode or anything we talked about, be sure to leave a comment on the episode page on FrugalFlyer.ca. And if you have a question you want us to answer on air, you can submit it on FrugalFlyer.ca/podcast. Bye, everybody.